A very good evening to all brothers and sisters in the Dharma. Today is the 19th April 2022, Tuesday class. We'll be continuing our sharing from this book. The wonderful Dhamma Lotus Sutra. We are at page 226 of the hard copy. Just relax body and mind, maintain some form of awareness. Then we will off the light so that you can have your half an hour of awareness-based meditation. Just relax body and mind. Maintain awareness to stabilize your inner awareness for as long as you can. Then silence everything. Don't try to know. Don't try to do anything, just away. This awareness-based meditation is very simple if you know how to do it. And the main intent and purpose is just to develop the inner awareness, which is the awareness nature, the mind that is without thought, is naturally aware. So you can be in the state of relax, without thought. Then the awareness nature will arise. You will stabilize. So give it a try. Relax, maintain awareness. Then don't try to know, don't do anything, just aware, finish. Aware, finish. Allow the mind to settle down until the thought loses its ability to arise. Then this awareness nature will arise by itself. Suddenly you will realize what that thing is. And the beginning of meditation is the beginning of your ability to realize this inner awareness nature, the silent mind. When you are with that nature or that mind, you are very peaceful, tranquil, still. It's just aware. But initially, it's not easy to maintain that mind. Your split second, the thought come in. Activity of mind arise very fast because these are mundane thinking or activity. The Buddha called it sankhara activity. That sankhara activity and movement, they have been so habitual. They keep on arising. Because throughout the day, living being, when they go through life, they think a lot. They worry a lot. They have a lot of views, opinions, and conditions. That's why their mind reacts to sense experience. Their mind creates proliferation of thinking, thought process. So meditation is to silence everything, to observe. Through that silence, natural understanding will arise. Then when you are completely silent without thought, that type of awareness that observe is different. The silent mind observe truth, observe the reality, observe whatever that arises and pass away. Then it can insight into phenomena, it can awaken. It can realize a lot of profound understanding and truth. That is what the real awareness-based meditation is all about. Then when you are completely relaxed and aware, the mind becomes very different. It becomes very sensitive, very still, very tranquil. Then it has the ability to understand many things. How thought arise, how thinking arise, how memory condition thinking. Then you will see clearly how thought arise in response to memory. Without memory, there is no thought. But when there is memory, there is thought. So all this understanding will surface. Then you will also see how everything is dependent, originating, condition, arising, causal phenomenon. The most obvious thing is the curious mind, the heedless thinking mind. So why did it think a lot? How does thought arise? You can find out. Basically, it's the lack of wisdom, lack of right view, lack of right understanding. So dependent on ignorance, it condition sankara activity, mental activity. Ignorant means ignorant of the truth, not knowing what is going on. So the mind that is curious and wants to know will start to think. So wanting to know, wanting to experience, creates that curiosity for the arising of thought. Then the accumulation of memory, views, opinion, and conditioning create further distortion of perception that will trigger more and more verbalization, more and more thought formation. Then the internal chattering, the internal dialogue become very obvious and very habitual. That's why the mind cannot be quiet, cannot be peaceful. So in order to see all this and reverse it, we need to silence our mind. We need to develop this inner awareness so that we have the ability to understand what is going on. Then the ability to understand is the beginning of change. Then we can ask ourselves, why are we this way? How can we overcome all this? How can we reverse all this and realize our true mind, our true nature, so that we need not become heedless. We need not think the way we used to be. We need not stir our mind and react to sense experience. Then we realize all of the suffering, misery, the fear, the worry, the anxiety, the sorrow, and the lamentation, they need not arise. They only arise when there is delusion, there is ignorance, when we lack understanding. So this is the explanatory part, where if you already develop the ability to be aware, you will be able to understand all this. So now I will let you meditate on your own. I will set the alarm for 30 minutes. Then you can proceed with your awareness-based training and meditation. Okay. And we shall continue from where we stop. Yeah, page 2 to 6 of the hard copy. Okay, we will read the sutta part. At that time, the Bodhisattva Maitreya, wishing to resolve his own doubt, and further regarding the thoughts of the fourfold assembly of bhikkhus, bhikkhunis, upasakas, and upasikas, as well as the thought of the assembled gods, dragons, ghosts, spirits, and others, question Manjushri as follows. So we have the question and the prose section, followed by the narration. Commentaries. We have talked about ghosts many times, but what are ghosts? I know, you say, they are hungry ghosts and they are full ghosts. Well, what are hungry ghosts and what are full ghosts? In Chinese, the word ghost, gui, is pronounced as gui, which sounds the same as the word which means to return, gui. This means that when people die and became ghosts, they return. Where do they come from? They came from the Buddha. Now they return to the hells or to the path of hungry ghosts. Why must they return there? Because they took the wrong road. They took for their own territory that which is not their own territory. They took the wrong road, and so they must return as ghosts. After this, when the word ghost comes up, you should remember that they are ghosts because they took the wrong road. They still must come back, return. In Chinese, ghosts are called gui, and in English, they are ghosts. You could say, go, ghosts. Go where? They go off to hell, to hell, to hell. In English, a ghost is one who goes. Although I can't speak English, I can explain this English word. Spirits are called natural-minded. They have spiritual penetration and evoke spontaneous response. Maitreya Bodhisattva asked Manjushri as follows. What are the reasons for this potence? This sign of spiritual penetration for the emanation of great light, which illuminates 18,000 lands in the east, so that the adornment in all those Buddha worlds are fully seen. So this is the question proper. Commentary. Great Bodhisattva, son of the Dharma king, please be compassionate and tell me what are the reasons for this potence. What is the principles involved? Why has the Buddha now emitted light, which is so great that illuminates 18,000 lands into the east? These signs of spiritual penetration are truly, I think it should be rare, not rare, are truly rare. I have never seen the like of them before. What is the reason for the immense emanation of great light? It doesn't just shine nearby, it shines across 18,000 lands. We think that going to the moon is so remarkable and a historical first. Sakyamuni Buddha put forth light that shone across 18,000 world systems. That's even further than 18,000 moons or 18,000 stars. So that the adornment in all those Buddha worlds are fully seen. Not just a little bit was seen. They were seen in the entirety. How big the country was, how it was superbly adorned, all this appeared. Then we go on to the sutta. Thereupon Maitreya Bodhisattva, wishing to restate his meaning, spoke verses asking, Manjushri, what is the reason for the guiding master's emanation from the white hair between his brow of a great light which shines everywhere, and for the rain of Mandaravas and the Manjushaka flowers, the breeze of fragrant Chandana, which delights the hearts of all those assembled. Through these causes and conditions, the earth is all adorned and pure. And within this world, the earth trembles in 6 different directions. Then the fourfold magnitude rejoices altogether. In body and in mind and rapture, they obtain what they have never had. Okay, then we had the outline, verse section, restatement, formal question, asking about the 6th potence, commentary. The Bodhisattva Maitreya wishes to restate its meaning, to speak the doctrine one more time. Why did he want to go to the trouble of saying it all over again? It was just because he feared that you and I, the living beings of today, would not understand. And you have the nerve to think of it as trouble. Don't have such thought. He spoke verse asking, Manjushri, what is the reason for the guiding master's emanation? What is the guiding master? Guide means to lead forth off the road of darkness onto the road full of bright lights. That is what is meant by the guiding master. Who is the guiding master? Shakyamuni Buddha is the guiding master. He takes us out of the hells and back to our original home. Now we shall return to our genuine home, to the place where Shakyamuni Buddha lives, the pure land of eternal still life. That's our true home. What is the reason for the guiding master's emanation? Why has the world-honored one emitted light from the white hair between his brow? This great light which shines everywhere illuminates the entire universe. Previously in the prose text, the light was said to shine across 18,000 worlds to the east. Here it says shining everywhere. And so I explain it saying that the light shines not only in the east, but to the south, north, west, and the 4 points in between, and up and below as well. It shines in all possible directions. And for the rain of Mandara Vas, and Manjushata flowers, it rained not water, but Mandarava flowers. They are as beautiful as you could possibly imagine. When you see them, your heart is overjoyed. I have never seen such beautiful flowers before. They cause your heart to be extremely happy, and they are called the flower which goes along with your wish. Manjushaka flowers are red flowers. They are not only beautiful, but soft as well. They can't be crushed. However, and if you wish for big blossom, they are big. If you wish for small blossom, they are small. They are especially beautiful. The breeze of fragrant chandana. Chandana incense can be smelled at a distance of 40 miles. Delights the hearts of those assembled. Seeing the flower, their hearts rejoice. They are filled with joy. They have never been so happy before. Not just one of them was happy, the entire assembly was happy. Through these causes and conditions, the earth is all adorned and pure. Because the flower have cleansed, purified, and adorned the earth, no one need to sweep it. It's sparkling clean. And within this world, the earth, that is our world here, tremble in 6 different directions. The 6 types of earthquake have already been discussed. They represented the 6 sense organ. Those who don't work hard won't know about this, but those who do may sometimes find their eyes blink very fast, like an electric fan. If you haven't had an experience, you may wonder, has a ghost come? Why are my eyes blinking like this? It's not a ghost. It's a result of your hard work. Sometimes you may hear birds chirping, wobbling, or the sound of cows and horses. You need not be afraid. It's just the occurrence of one of the 6 types of earthquake: shaking, surging, rising, crushing, roaring, and banging. Shaking refers to movement in one place, universal shaking. refers to shaking throughout the 4 continents. But you should not think this is a particular big earthquake. It's not as big as the shaking of the entire 3,000 great thousand world, which is called a cosmic shaking. Shaking, universal shaking and cosmic shaking represent the eye organ. The object of the eye consciousness. The same also applies to the other 5 senses. The 6th sense organ, the 6th sense object, and the 6th sense consciousness makes up the 18th sense rhyme. Each of these 6 types of earthquake has 3 divisions, making 18, which represent the 18th field of sense. The light illuminating the 18,000 world to the east also represent the 18th sense rhyme. Crushing occurs in one world. Universal crushing occurs in the 4 continents. Cosmic crushing occurs throughout the entire 3,000 great thousand worlds. Each of these 6 types of earthquake has these 3 divisions corresponding to the 18 rhymes of sense. Then when the great earth shakes, the 4-fold multitude, the bhikkhus, bhikkhuni, upasakas, upasikas, rejoices all together. This is the portent of the rejoicing of the assembly, embodied and in mind and rapture, bliss to the extreme, as they obtain what they had never had. In the past, they had never been as delighted and happy before. They obtained what they never had before. So that is the explanation. Okay, the next part of the sutra. The bright light from between the brows shines into the eastern quarter, causing 18,000 land all to become of golden hue. And from the Avicii hell upwards to the peak of being, within each of the world are seen the beings within the 6 paths, their 6 destiny in birth and death, their karmic condition, good and evil, their retribution, favorable or ill. All of this is seen herein. Okay. We go to the commentary. The bright light from between the brows, the commentary say, the white hair mark located between the Buddha's eyebrow amid a great light which shines into the eastern quarter, causing 18,000 lands all to become of golden hue. And from the Avicii hell, from the lowest point upward to the peak of being, there are the 3 rhymes of existence, the rhyme of desire, the rhyme of form, and the formless rhyme. The peak of being referred to the heavens of neither perception nor non-perception. This is a formless rhyme, the highest of the formless rhyme, which is the 4th station of emptiness. This is located in the form rhyme and can't be said to have any particular form. It should be the word formless. This is located in the formless rhyme and can't be said to have any particular form. Nevertheless, the Buddha now made light which shines all the way to the top of the formless heaven. Within each of the world are seen in all the worlds in the limitless Buddha land, the beings within the 6 paths or the 6 destiny. The path of the gods, the humans, asuras, hell beings, hungry ghosts, as well as the animal realm. Their destiny in birth and death within the 6 destiny or 6 paths. Living beings are born and then they die. They die and then they are born. Birth, death, birth, death, 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 birth, death, death. They spin around the in the revolving wheel of the sixth path of rebirth. So this is the sixth destiny, and you tolerant way. Although you are a human being in this world, don't think that you will always be so. If your actions are good, you may be assured of keeping a human body. But if you have evil deeds or do evil deeds, you will lose it. Then what will one become? Haven't I already told you? You can go to hell, become a hungry ghost, or turn into an animal. There are karmic conditions, good or evil. Perhaps your deeds and goods are good, or perhaps they are evil. Goodness creates good karmic condition, and evil had evil karmic condition. But the deeds are done, and the condition created by you alone, it is said. Good and evil are two diverging roads. You can cultivate the good or commit crimes. Cultivate means to practice the way. Commit means to create offenses. There is a road, a good road and a bad road. It's up to you to choose which one you will walk. If you walk down the good road, you will create good karma. If you walk down the evil one, you will create evil karma. Their attributions, favorable or ill, good or evil, refers to condition on the causal ground. If you plant good causes, you will receive favorable retribution. If you plant evil causes, you will receive bad retribution. A favorable retribution means that everything is as you wish it to be. An unfavorable retribution goes against your wishes. Favorable and ill refer to the effect of your prior karmic action. If you plant good seeds, you will reap a favorable fruit. If you plant evil seeds, you will reap an ill fruit. All of this is seen here. The turning wheel of the sixth path or the sixth destiny, the interrelated process of creating karma and undergoing retribution, is all seen here. In the Tuscan one's white hair mark light. That's why when the light shine, those with the wisdom eye, they can see, they can understand. Okay, we will move on to the next part. Sutta. Further seen are the Buddhas, the lions, the sagely master, expounding of the sutra scriptures of foremost subtlety and wonder. Clean and pure is the sound of their soft, compliant voices, teaching all the bodhisattvas, numbering in the countless million. The Brahma sound, profound and wondrous, fill those who hear with joy. As within his world, each one proclaimed the proper Dharma. Through various causes and conditions, the limitless analogy, they clarify the Buddha Dharma to enlighten living beings. Okay, asking about seeing the Buddha and hearing the Dhamma. So we go to the commentaries. Further seen are the Buddhas. The Buddha are seen as well. The lions, the sagely master, they are the master among the sages, expounding the scripture, sutra scriptures. The great vehicle sutra, which are of foremost subtlety and wonder. This is truly rare, wonderful Dhamma. Clear and pure is the sound. The Buddha's sound is extremely clear and resonant. Of these soft, compliant voices, their voices are both resonant and soft, compliant, dedicated, and beautiful sounds, which pleases the ear and delight the hearts of the entire assembly. According to whatever kind of sound each person likes to hear. The Buddha's voice takes on that quality. Teaching all the bodhisattvas, the Buddha teach and transform all the bodhisattvas, numbering in the countless million. Their number is the countless myriads of million. The Brahma sound, profound and wondrous. The clear, pure sound are extremely deep and fine. Few those who hear with joy. The more people hear it, the more they enjoy hearing it. As within this world, each one proclaims the proper Dharma. All the Buddha residing in their own world expound upon the proper Dharma, the genuine Buddha Dharma. Through various causes and conditions, people are not the same. They have varying disposition. And so when teaching the Dhamma, the Buddha employs various types of causes and conditions to teach them and cure them of their differing bad habits and faults. And limitless analogy. Limitless means they can't be counted. The Buddha uses numerous analogies to teach the Dhamma, all for the sake of leading living beings to understand the genuine Buddha Dhamma and cultivate in accord with it. So the text says, they clarify the Buddha Dhamma. How do they clarify it? They use wisdom to brightly illuminate it. They use the bright light of wisdom to bring about the understanding of all the Buddha Dhamma. To enlighten living beings, they cause all living beings to gain increasing wisdom and bodhi. It's like digging a mine. The mine may contain gold, but unless you find a way to dig it out, the gold will not appear. The Buddha nature is inherent within the self nature of living beings. But unless you explain it to them clearly, they will not understand the inherent Buddha nature, and they will be unable to cultivate it. So this part, I have to explain a bit. You see, when the Buddha mentioned the Buddha nature is inherent within the self nature of living being, this one is very true. But how many of them can really develop the understanding of it and come to realize it? So it is mentioned, but unless the Buddha explain it to them clearly, they will not understand the inherent Buddha nature, and they will be unable to develop it or cultivate it. So this is very true. Yeah? Like what we have gone through. We already have the understanding that each and every one of us, we are the same. We have the Buddha nature, which is the oneness nature that all beings actually has. But before you develop the understanding of it, you may not even know because of the problems related to creation. Creation, existence, leads to the arising of living beings. So living beings, when they are born into this existential world, they forgot who they are, what they are. That's why they don't really know that they have the Buddha nature within their own form and mind. And the form and mind is the only vehicle that can allow you to come to this existential world. And you need this form and mind to develop the cultivation, to connect to that nature within, and to realize it. That's why it is not easy. Even from our own sharing over the past maybe 10 over years. Those who started early with me from the year 2004 is already about 18 years. So over these years, as my nature share and teach, you may pick up some form of understanding, but it is not easy for cultivator to really comprehend it and develop it. To have a maybe initial understanding of what it is in the form of knowledge or in the form of concept or idea is maybe possible. I call it possible. But to really develop the understanding of it, to touch it, is not so easy, not so straightforward. Even after you have a glimpse of it, that is just the beginning. Then you need to develop further understanding to stabilize it. After you have stabilized it, you have to develop further ability to transform it. And this process takes a long time because it's the perfection of it. That's why you take the sainthood way. You may not understand much, but you can develop enough wisdom to break free from the sixth destiny, from the process of birth and death. Means the birth and death or the segmented body, it can end. That's why no more rebirth, no more coming back, and the being that had realized the enlightenment of arahantship can cease to be. Means the form and mind upon realization cease. Then there is no avijja. No avijja means it don't have the causes and condition to reconnect or recondition rebirth consciousness. Which means that form and mind, that nature of that form and mind, even though there is a karmic nature, but it ceases to be, where it cannot come back anymore. The cycle of birth and death has been broken. Unless the being, at the time when he realized arahantship, he has the understanding of the bodhisattva way, then he can make the bodhisattva vow, then develop the faith, saddha, virya, and determine through the vow to bring forth the causes and conditions for the bodhisattva way to take effect. And then there is a possibility. Then from there, of course, the whole cultivation can take off. And it is over aeons and aeons and aeons of cultivation to develop the perfection that enable living beings to become Sammasambuddha. And initially, maybe you progress along the path of the Bodhisattva way to become more and more experienced and more developed in your understanding and perfection of all the 10 perfections, leading to finally becoming great beings. Then after that, the whole of the cultivation become very clear, very easy, and very straightforward. And from there, you develop your ability to transform, to realize that perfection of Sammasambuddhahood. Then from there, you will understand that all living beings, we have that inherent nature within, which is the Buddha nature, the oneness nature. So all this understanding is not easy, but can be developed. Okay, we go back to the notes. Okay, the sutta part. To those who have encountered suffering, weary of sickness, aging, disease, they speak about nirvana, which brings all suffering to an end. This one is very interesting. Most living beings, when they go through life, they experience the First Noble Truth realities. So they encounter a lot of suffering, a lot of misery, especially old age, sickness, and death. Then they also have the other conditions within the First Noble Truth reality. The other total, there are 8 realities. So when they experience this, they realize suffering was not easy to endure. It can lead to a lot of misery. So living beings over time create the opposite. They want to be free from suffering. They want to bring all of suffering to an end. That's why they speak about nirvana. So the teaching, in fact, has the explanation, especially the Third Noble Truth. He says suffering need not be, the Buddha said. Enlightenment in the here and the now. Nirvana can be realized. So this part is actually for living beings who actually long to realize the enlightenment. And I read on. To those possessed of blessings, who have made offering to past Buddhas and resolve to seek the supreme Dharma, they speak of enlightening the condition. So this part are for those with blessings and those who have made offering to past Buddhas and resolve to seek the supreme Dharma. So they speak of the enlightening the condition. To those who are the Buddha's son, who cultivate various practices, seeking wisdom unsurpassed, they speak of the way of purity. So we go to a commentary. To those who encounter suffering, although common people suffer, the more they suffer, the more they like it. And the more they suffer, the more suffering they encounter. Basically, affliction is the cause of suffering. The cause of the suffering we undergo. But people don't want to put their affliction aside. They want to keep the communication link between themselves and their affliction. They can't leave them. They can't separate from the causes of their suffering. The more they suffer, the more they must suffer. When their suffering reaches the extreme point, they fall into the hell, where they suffer eternally, never obtaining happiness. That's the way it is with common people. And this one is very true. This one you better be careful if ever you want to avoid falling into the hell. See here, I think it's a direct translation on the Mandarin. That's why the English sounds very funny. The more you suffer, the more you must suffer. But I believe in the Mandarin version, there is a like very poetic rhyme. So the next sentence is very beautiful. When their suffering reaches its extreme point, they fall into the hell. Means all the 3 evil roots you commit until you already have everything fulfilled to be sent down to take birth in the hells. What will happen is, when their suffering reaches its extreme point, they will fall into the hell, where they suffer eternally. This word is very true. You don't think it's a joke. Suffer eternally, never obtaining happiness. Do you know? You see all the hell being depicted as what? especially the Chinese cosmology, and sometimes you see them drawn in certain places. I remember Singapore, the Haw Villa, which I visited with my father, 1971, I think, when I finished my Form 5 exam. My father promised me to take me on a trip to Singapore, so I went to Singapore. So at the Haw Villa, there was this drawing about the hell rhyme, various type of hell. So that time when I saw those calligraphy, I knew what it was like. They had this drawing where the wok, the very big wok with the boiling oil. Then these hell beings, they were being like thrown inside. It's like roasting pig or roast chicken and all those things. And it's unending. Then you have the hell where they spear you, unending. There's an analogy that Sakyamuni gave. He told the king, I remember, he said, the hell being, when they suffer, he said, he compared with the king. He said, let's say you are the king. Then there is a prisoner or a robber who commit very severe crime that needs severe punishment. What say you punish him with the spear? Morning, you spear him. I don't know how many 100 times, I forgot already. But he did die. Then after that, you let him rest. Then afternoon, again, you do the same. Then evening, again, you do the same. He said, you can do this continuously or maybe until that person finally die. But this type of suffering is nothing compared to the one in hell, the Buddha told the king. So if you still believe it's not serious, then go ahead. But do not regret when you go to hell and when you experience hell. So it's really for eternity. So this part, keep in mind. Okay, so we go back. We go back to the commentary. Okay, I'll read a bit more. That's the way of the common people. So normal, deluded, heedless people who don't understand, don't believe, they will do that. Those of other religion wish to end suffering, but they are unable to find a path which will lead them out. They cultivate and uphold methods of their religion, but they are unable to end suffering. They continue to undergo suffering, and although it is not as intense as in the hell, they may still run off and become hungry ghosts if they are not careful. Those of the outside way means white out, cannot ultimately put an end to suffering. This one is what the Buddhists believe, because without this Dhamma, you cannot realize that cessation, and you cannot realize that cessation. You cannot break away from the cycle of birth and death. That's why suffering cannot end. Birth and death will continue for eternity. Maybe this part is unique to the Buddhist teaching. The Buddhist teachings of the Dhamma leading to enlightenment is very different from the other religion. The other religion is they believe they can reach salvation. They can be born in the kingdom of heavens or God. Then they will have the eternal life and all those things. But it is a completely different philosophy, a different understanding. But the true understanding of life, existence, the form and mind is so different. In the context of the Buddhist teaching, it's very clearly defined and can be realized in the here and now before you die. So all this is where the difference is. Okay, we read on a bit more. There are also people who are intelligent and clever and have a bit of worldly wisdom. They have a thorough understanding of mundane Dharma, but they do not understand transcendental Dharma. They run into causes and conditions of suffering. They have no way to bring them to an end. Wishing to end suffering, they only succeed in running into more suffering. Do you know how they think? They think perhaps I shall rob someone of his money, and then I won't have to suffer anymore. So this must be a joke that Hsuan created. Because this kind of people have small measure of intelligence, he knows how to cheat people. He catches someone off guard and sneak off with his wealth and take it by force. In spite of the fact that he is wise, in inverted comma, other people also have wisdom. He may think he can get away with his clever trick, but eventually he sets off a burglar alarm. The police get the call and take him to jail. If the crime is minor, his time may not be long. For a heavy crime or offense, he may be in for a long time, like life sentence. He thus receives his retribution while in the world. So this one is just some form of sharing regarding the law of karma, cause and effect. What about the future? People like this cannot end suffering. Where do they go? In the future, they may become animals. There are various reasons for falling into the hell realm or become an animal or a hungry ghost. It's not just a matter of one kind of cause and condition. I am simply mentioning some of them, but these are not the only ones. There are all manners of causes and conditions which can lead one to fall into hell, into the three evil paths. Is the three evil destiny, and endure the suffering there. Okay, we end here. I think this is the page we will end. So before we continue with the second session, maybe I just summarize a bit. So earlier on, the sharing from the sutta, he gave the description of whatever there is there. Then later on, he zeroed in on the teachings that is to be shared. So the teaching is to be shared is about the six destiny, 六道轮回, the birth and death. The Mahayana simplify into the six destiny because they summarize all the heavenly beings into one destiny, the rhyme of the heavens. Then the five, they are the same as the Theravada. Below the gods are the human rhyme. Then below the human rhyme is the demon rhyme, followed by the three evil destiny. That's why you have the six destiny. So the way you live your life will decide where you take your rebirth. Then as long as you do not have the understanding of how to realize the cessation of nirvana, leading to the end of all rebirth, then there is no way you can end your coming to this existential world. Means samsara, which is the cycle of birth and death, it will continue for eternity. That's why for those teachings that doesn't have this style of truth, it's really true. They can maybe take rebirth in the highest heaven, which can be very blissful, very beautiful. But over time, sooner or later, they will fall and finally can even go down to the hell realms unless they realize some form of enlightenment leading to the end of suffering. cessation of form and mind means ability to end birth and death. But so far, from what we see in this world, there is yet another religion that I have heard about or read apart from the Buddhist teaching that has this style of enlightenment or cessation. But anyway, it's just for personal understanding, knowledge. So as cultivator of the way, we should have a lot of gratitude towards the Buddha and also for our good karmic nature and spiritual nature to have the constant condition to realize this truth and this path, to come into affinity with the triple gem. That's why apart from the triple gem, liberation from birth and death is almost not possible unless there is a similar teaching that can lead to the end of the cycle of birth and death, which is the karmic cycle. So to break free from the karmic cycle is not easy. You must realize the unconditioned. And the mind that realizes the unconditioned must cease. And when it ceases without ignorance, that's how the rebirth consciousness that has ignorance no more. Then there is no more rebirth of the segmented life, born of avijja or ignorance. Okay, with this we will open up for sharing. Yeah. So as usual, is there anybody who wants to come in and report meditation or do the sharing and ask any question that is related?
Good evening, Bratio.
Yes.
Can you hear me clearly?
Yeah, clear, loud and clear. Very good.
Good evening, Bratio, Mrs. Teo, and all Kalamiters.
Yeah.
Before I nominate somebody, maybe I discuss a bit of these Dharma teaching.
Yes.
Bratio is like when we talk about samsara and cessation of samsara and subsequently to go to the higher realms and all this.
Yeah, correct.
We are actually most fortunate to be able to have this opportunity to learn, especially the true Dharma in this lifetime itself. So of course with this, I will put in my utmost effort to able to, I mean, we are talking like cessation and all that, which seems to be so far away, so difficult, Bratio. But as we can see, as we can see, it can be realized, and I would like to congratulate some of our Kalamiters who are able to be on the path. Okay, very near to it. Today's world, as we can see, it's how to say, it's going through like a cycle of deterioration.
Very chaotic.
Very chaotic. It's like there's hardly any part of the earth that is not going through some form of
disaster or misery.
Yes, either man-made or natural. You know, especially with the pandemic, that's already caused so much suffering to everybody. Correct. Now, even with the Ukraine and Russia war, it's again affecting another. You know, it's like bringing unnecessary hardship to a lot of people.
To the whole world. It creates a lot of distortion to the economy, to the pricing of commodity.
Yes, the food scarcity is getting very. Whether
and a lot of things has been threatened.
Brother, what do you feel about the food security and the food scarcity? From what we see that it's sort of like not an actual fact, but also created by certain people.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Certain organizations to gain.
Out of their selfishness and very short-term negative intent, which is very true. They make use of this to create panic, fear, then they cause disruption to the fluctuation in what they call prices of commodity, food, even the stock market, even the various type of bond prices and also activity that actually has impact on the humanity in this world. That's why they can cause a lot of disruption, not only in economy, the economic effect will cause riots and upheaval in the country like Sri Lanka, Pakistan, and many other countries. They are affected. And now, like you said, the food crisis, I think South African countries, even generally African countries, they suffer because they have the food problem. They don't have enough what they call the agriculture.
Land for agriculture.
Yes, they don't have enough forward planning to develop their food sufficiency. So a lot of countries that depend on the world for their food, they will suffer. In fact, a lot of Western countries depend on the wheat from Ukraine and Russia, where these two produces almost 1/3 of the world consumption. Then oil, Russia is holding a lot of oil. So gas and oil is also been disrupted. Then a lot of minerals come from these two countries. In fact, the semiconductors and many other things that need certain type of minerals, they are also been affected. And like you say, the speculators and all this unscrupulous entity, they create the fear, the panic, and the market volatility to make money. Then all this create a lot of speculation. Then they will go and write until I say the oil price is going to hit 200 US and all this thing. And then they will add in a lot. As the economy open up, the airline get to fly again, the fuel consumption will go up, the demand for oil will be there. Then with the war, the shortage will be felt everywhere. So all these are fueling a lot of panic, a lot of fear. And this has a very strong impact or spin-off effect on the mind of human beings. Out of fear, people simply buy things, hoarding things and all those things. And even with the recent lockdown in Shanghai, there were cases where food is actually in demand and the supply chain cannot go. And also because of what happened, it actually caused a lot of disruption to the logistic industry. So now to get your goods to move to certain places is not easy because all these big shipping companies, they are also being affected. Then the supply chain is a very big headache. Then with China, with the pandemic, the slowdown, is going to affect the world because the world actually depend a lot on China's cheap goods. Relatively cheap goods. And
the manufacturing.
The manufacturing sector and also. So all this have a huge impact. Then unless the world really come back to sanity. I use the word sanity. But
Yes,
I don't think it's so easy. When they come back to sanity, then maybe there is possibility and hope for things to be resolved. But at the moment, from the look of it, it's a lot of very negative type of leaders around, being influenced by all the what they call greed and selfish intent behind. So they are still fighting. They are still doing a lot of sanctioning and all those things. It's to benefit certain people, not really do it for justice or what. It's like taking revenge, seizing upon opportunity. It's like they are very happy with the war. You see, when you have war, then you supply armament to one side that is
the arm industry.
You are creating more and more chaotic condition and situation. So all this will never end. It's like on the one hand you say, okay, the only way for the war to go off is I must punish Russia. What type of argument is that? Then to punish Russia, you do the sanction to benefit yourself. Then after that, you supply weapons, ask them to fight more. Nonsense, crazy. Then don't want to agree on simple issue on the people's concern, the Russian concern and all those things. They don't want to sit down and talk. They want this thing to trigger home. I think there is a lot of selfish intent behind many of these movements. Now with the social media and the more connected world, I think we can start to see and understand things better. And also the information, data, they get transmitted very fast. Not like in the past. In the past, most of the things are all blackout. And you wait for newspaper, sometimes you wait for 24 hours, then only the newspaper, depend on the news you read, which journalist and all this. But now with the social media, you have alternative media information, which is very good. Hopefully, all this will bring about more conducive change for the betterment of our planet. But from the look of it,
not at the moment, Rachel.
It's still
it's so chaotic everywhere,
difficult.
and like everybody is trying to have a say in this particular war, and they are like dragging India and China into it.
Forcing people, not dragging, forcing people to take side. And what is the motive? To make them strong, to be another big bully again. And that is the way they actually wants to control the world, which is not a sovereign nation that is economically very powerful, technologically very powerful, should do. Because you should actually be the leader to lead and bring about peace and all these things, to suppress all this unnecessary war, conflict, and bring about a new world order that is more balanced and more humanity sensitive, that can bring about more peace, more what they call order to the world. Then the United Nations must not be what it is now, so control. So a lot of things need to be changed or transformed for the better. So it's not going to be overnight. It's going to take a while. But at least we are now starting to witness something which is, I think, quite good, in the sense that for change to happen for the better, I realize the world have to go through a very severe
upheaval
or just like the pandemic. Not after it happened, people are not appreciative of life. A lot of things, environment, they don't care.
Yeah.
But after what happened now, they are more serious about environment and all things, going green and all things. But after a while, it's forgotten again. So a lot of these things, you need a very severe upheaval. Then only they will start to sit down and do the correct thing. So
Brother, it's like we all our personal lives too. It's normally when we are hit with something very hard and eye opener. Then only we will make a great effort to change ourselves and our way of life and how we see things. Yes, I think it applies to a lot of us too.
The individual. That's why the world is like the individual. Not until it hit severely and the whole of humanity is being threatened, nobody will look at it.
Brother, I think the only way that can bring the earthlings together is if there's an attack from outside, that is meaning the aliens. I think that's the only way to bring us all together. Otherwise, we are still so divided. You know, we are so conditioned to see us and them. It's always us and them. So this type of thinking will not change that much. You know. Like, Raju, can I just discuss something on you see the food scarcity, like in Malaysia itself, we can see, Raju. Cemor, Perak. You see, we are already so in need of food, fresh vegetables and fruits. You know, we are depending on so much on these places like Cemor, Cameron Highlands and all this. But due to the I don't like to use the word stupidity lah, but that it seems to be the only word that can come to my mind at the moment. They do not even think further. If this area is how to say demolished or whatever, imagine 50 to 60 tons of fresh vegetables every day is no more. You know? How on earth are we going to get this replaced in a while? And these people just refuse to accept that. Even if we give this farmer another piece of land, even nearby, it takes them so many years to be able to develop until the quality of the soil. You know, and just for the sake of getting fast money, our country is going to suffer. And we are so much into like opening land for like palm oil, durians, you know, that sort of thing. We think in terms of cash, but we do not think of the people. And I mean, like rice, we can forget about rice now, you know. Rice is no more.
You can import from Thailand. Thailand has a lot.
Like when now with the problem in Ukraine, you know, if something were to happen to Asia itself, all of us will have to start eating, God knows, potato or whatever instead of rice.
It's like the food chain, the supply chain. If Thailand is affected, I think it will affect a lot of countries in Asia because it is the biggest rice producer in the whole of the world. In fact, Thailand is very strong in the field of paddy, planting paddy. China, of course, also very well developed, but the population in China is so big, they can't even have sufficiency to feed themselves. There's some aspect of the food they still need to import. So far, only wheat is affected. We are actually quite fortunate in that sense, because Malaysia, even though we went through the pandemic with so much problem, our oil reserve, our Petronas is doing very well because of the good oil price. Then our palm oil is doing very well too. Here is the all-time high, 6,000 over per ton, never heard before. Then also the other aspect is our manufacturing and export, electronic and other related sector. We are doing relatively well. So in that sense, Malaysia is quite blessed. But all this you cannot take for granted that it will be there. Anything can just go the other way.
Yeah, anything can just tip the scale,
Yeah. But at the rate they spend money and waste money, there's a big danger we may, and now people are talking about maybe another Sri Lanka in the making.
Yeah, Brother Teo, we have trillions in debt, Brother Teo. A lot of people just refuse to acknowledge, especially our government. Still closing both eyes.
And they are still spending a lot of money. They
on unnecessary things. Yes.
A lot of bonds and all this thing.
At the moment, our present life, how to say, we are still considered very fortunate.
Yeah, still very fortunate.
Yeah, very fortunate. So I really sympathize with the future generations. You know, because I do not know what Malaysia is going to be by then. But Bertil, this saying, hell on earth need not be after death.
Yeah,
very true, Bertil.
That one is very true. Yeah. In fact,
you see the war area and all that.
For those going through the war in Ukraine and other part of the world, actually to them it's like a mini hell on planet Earth. It is like going to hell. Their infrastructure, their utility, they have been cut off. Then facing unending threat of disaster, and the siren keep on ringing non-stop. Then food supply are not there, utility also not there. So just imagine, no water, no electricity, and no safety outside. That condition is not easy to endure. They want to run also, don't know what to do. So luckily the refugee has been quite well taken care of, relatively. But it's not easy, definitely not easy.
Yeah, Bertil, we are talking about Ukraine. At least they have the support of the EU countries and all these. And when we are talking about the other side of the world, like Yemen and Iraq and Afghanistan, that one is really
even
hopeless
Afghanistan
case. All these are really hopeless cases. They are really hell on earth.
And
with no end to suffering.
Correct. United Nations is putting in a lot of aids and money there, but they can't solve the problem, because this problem has been created by all the big country, the nation that really, like Afghanistan is the US. After they pull out, they just let it be. They don't care. Then they don't want to be responsible, and they just back off. So a lot of things are happening in the world. And for Yemen also, actually pitiful. Even the Lebanese, the Middle East, there's a lot. In fact, the world, if you really look at it, there are a lot of problematic situations around the globe. Even though we still have most of the country doing fairly okay, very well. And if it's not for the pandemic, I think the world is still in topsy-turvy, enjoying, not knowing all this possible. But luckily, the pandemic actually taught us a very good lesson. And hopefully, slowly from there, we recover and things starts to change. If they don't learn from all this, it is not easy for the planet to really revive itself, to turn around, to have more understanding. Or I use the word sanity. Sanity must prevail.
Well, when the earth is too violated, then Mother Earth will get its how to say revenge on the human beings.
Cause and effect.
It will happen, and Mother Earth does not need us. We need nature. Nature does not need us. So by the time comes,
yes, very true. Very true. That's why the recent flood, pandemic, everything is nature's way of actually sending out the signal to fellow humanity and all these things. The weather change and all those things. It has affected many things.
Bertio, with that, I will end my sharing.
Hi.
Bertio. Yes.
And been long time.
Nice. Good to see you, Stephanie.
Good to see you one day in Africa. So long. What shall I say? Recently.
Do you have any question or anything you want to share, Stephanie?
Question. I think no.
Is there anything you want to share or comment on what we have discussed today?
I totally agree with PG. We are very fortunate we have the Dharma to guide us and to stay afloat in this type of chaotic condition. A lot of suffering out there. All sorts. Some either is financially, I think mentally, nowadays.
Mentally is more important.
Mentally.
Without the Dhamma, a lot of people succumb to their mental problem. They cannot face the world. They cannot face a lot of things, especially the pandemic. A lot of people become like cheesy, I think, after the lockdown, everything.
Not even in, even in affluent society like Singapore, they are financially more sound. I understand from one of my friends, because my niece is studying there. She's a psychologist. Since she went last year, July. Then open up New Year, she didn't come back. I asked my brother, is she coming back since opening? My brother said no. Like online internship.
It's quite common nowadays. Everything is being done online. In fact, online internship is quite common. I got some niece also. I think they are doing it online in Lotus in Penang.
Because of the technology, we are so good. Apparently, I shared with my friend. My friend said, in Singapore, really they need a lot of psychologists because apparently one of the friends,
a lot of people with mental problems.
One of the friends' children went under, I think, ASEAN scholarship, couldn't cope with the pressure or what. Even to make appointment for psychologists have to wait for 2 months.
Oh, so bad.
I said, oh, is it? I said, so bad.
They can go to the private one. I think private one quite easy. Maybe government one, you have to wait long queue.
Don't know whether private or what, but apparently it's in great demand.
I think that is understandable. A lot of young people.
Count our blessing for having the Dharma, but you have been sharing.
In fact, a lot of young people have mental problems, mental issues. they develop this type of what they call psychiatric problem, especially young children with depression. Quite common nowadays. A lot of them.
Also some elderly too, because of the lockdown.
Of course, that one is obvious.
One of my
but the younger generation one are the big
more crucial, and also I think society.
Yeah, more are happening to the younger generation. In fact, they form the major group with psychiatric problem.
Could it be one of the reasons is they are bombarded with too much new thing, media, all sort of things?
It is an obvious thing because nowadays with the social media, the handphone, the data and all those things, their education and their exposure to life are so different now because they receive a lot of this type of thing. And if you look at it at that age, how can they cope? A lot of things is still not mature in their mind. They haven't had the proper education or anything, but all these things are coming from the technological field, from the what they call evolution of our civilization. Then a lot of this new gazette and new computer thing, AI thing, even the handphone, the apps, they are coming on stream at such a fast rate. And the mind that is too young cannot cope.
Don't know what to choose, what to believe, what to learn.
No, that one may be later. But during the growing up age, they cannot cope. A lot of things they cannot cope. They still don't understand a lot of things. Then most of the time, like what we came to know and experience, they are not like us. We used to interact with real people, real personality, friends. Nowadays, they hardly meet up, especially with the pandemic. You don't go to school and all those things. There a lot have online chat, online friend, and all this, and a lot they don't know who the other side is.
Actually, true. That causes a lot of problem without the parents knowing what is in their mind.
And they can end up being scammed, and very traumatic thing can happen. Then nowadays you look at the news report, the media, there's a lot of scam. Not only the normal type of scam, love scam, whatever scam, a lot of these things, and they sometimes scam the school children too. Then they trick them, and sometimes a lot of this type of crime can happen. So a lot goes unreported. Then when parents are too busy, they got no time for their kids. The problem can be aggravated.
I think so. Actually, child development, when the parents don't have enough time for them. What is in there?
Now, we are talking about every 10 years, there's one generation of kids coming out. That's why they got the XYZ, the Z generation. So those born during the 80s are the I think generation, they call it the Xa. I cannot remember. Then 90s, the 2000 onward one, the Z generation and all things. So all this, their behavior, their exposure are totally different. That's why they call them this type of kids. Generation what? Generation X, Generation Y, Generation Z, and all those things. And the one coming out later on, I don't know what name they gave.
Wow.
So there is a lot of transformation, and we call it the great how we call it the great transformation that actually involve the psychological part, the brain, the thinking part. So a lot of pressure is been actually put into that area because of the amount of data and information that the world is giving to the new generation of kids. And most of them cannot cope. And the way they go about doing things also very different. Their thinking, their ideology, their psychological emotion, all very different.
It's not easy, yeah, to bring up the new kid for family,
That's why
especially
there are
family.
a lot of new courses being developed. Yesterday, I had lunch with one of my classmates. He said he has a youngest daughter. He wants to study actual science. There's another one study psychology. Then there's quite a number study psychiatry, psychology and all that. So the courses they take, the parent also cannot understand. The parent asks the daughter, why you want to take this course? They just say, I want to take this course. That's it. And what is this course all about? They also don't know. They say they heard from friends. Yeah, what they call peers. A lot of them are going into that field. So they go in because maybe, like you say, high demand. Then they believe it's a good field. So it depends. That's why you need career guidance to give them the appropriate guideline.
Last week, my neighbors invited me for a short trip to Tapa because she need to go and niece coming down for graduation from Cambridge. They don't know how to drive, so she asked me to accompany her. I went out.
So you drive all the way to Tapa?
I accompany my neighbors because we stay in Tapa for a night because her elder sister, elderly couple, they look after two grandchildren. You know, these two grandchildren, the parents divorced. So the grandma have to look after them. The grandpa is 80 years old. These are the type of we in our circle we don't see this. This is the first time. We have Malaysian who also like you said, 消费机. They went overseas to work just to send money back. So that's why we stay in Tapa because my neighbor want to take the sister and the children out for dinner. Quite a short and nice trip. And then we went to Ipoh for lunch. Then my neighbors took me to a cave called Chi Le Tong.
Ipoh, there's a lot of cave,
And quite nice. It's very well managed. They have 18 Arahant there. Nice. They have a back garden, so it's quite properly managed. So when my neighbors asked me to take photograph, she wanted to take photograph. For me, is I always go. I like to appreciate the place instead of taking photograph. So after I took photograph for her, then so we wanted to walk to there's a what they call Ting a place for you to rest. Then I somehow aware something missing. Then suddenly I looked into my bag. I couldn't find my handphone.
Oh, lost.
Lost. So I say, oh, I remember I still like taking the scenery before I took photograph for her. She asked me to take. Then we went back to the spot where I took photograph for her. Then when we were looking at the floor, then the caretaker come. I said, she thought we collect some plant or anything. But I said, no, we're looking for my handphone. I dropped my handphone because I know I was there before I was taking some photograph before she asked me to. So look, then the man said, oh, unlike this, we are very safe because they have 10 yen. That means they have CC.
They have
it's very safe, no pickpocketing.
The
so
camera.
I am not safe because I could have dropped it. That's why I'm looking for it. Then he said, okay. Then he called the office. I was so lucky somebody picked it and left it there.
Very, very lucky.
Otherwise now when you lost your handphone,
a lot of things become very problematic.
Can be problem.
Your banking and all those things.
You are very blessed. Yeah, I am very blessed. Many times close shave somehow it appears.
Hey, you better be careful because you don't play a phone. Make sure it's with you all the time.
Wow, imagine what a relief. So then when I went to the office also very careful. They asked me what is my number. They call the number. I say, you all did very well. That means you really like.
They make sure it's the correct person.
Somehow, so far, Vadim, I'm really grateful. Every time got condition, there's always a good Samaritan. Even when my car happened, halfway.
The battery incident.
Halfway, I said it happened in the inner garden, not at the highway. Highway will be problem. And the neighbor stopped by to help me also. Very, very, very blessed.
Sadhu. Very good.
Now, in this situation, what we can do is we can only cultivate and then create more positive energy.
Must have more and more memories. That's why you must have good mind state. You must have the Dharma to cultivate more and more wholesomeness.
Even like
keep your precepts, help people, avoid evil. Do all the good things that will enhance our karmic nature. Then, of course, the wisdom part, the spiritual nature will record them and accumulate for us.
Also, our Kalyamita forces are very good.
A
lot of
very strong.
Good progress. Very happy for congratulate all them.
Correct, yes. That's why we can rejoice with all the wholesomeness expressed by a lot of
progress very
who
well.
has benefited from the Dhamma understanding.
We're looking forward for our Cameron retreat.
Pavasari has checked with the Tangjia, I think. They say not now, maybe I am not very sure, maybe June or July onwards, see how it goes. They haven't opened up yet.
But apparently now the rate has come down. The COVID cases have dropped.
That one is correct. In fact, a lot of temple way place, they back to normal already. They can start it, but people are still cautious, especially Cameron. They don't want to have any problem later on. So we see how it goes.
Yun Chan told me she's going to help out with the Uttama Vihara. They're going to have no worship. Overwhelming response. No worship. Overwhelming. Not only the helper, participant also long queue. The helper also a lot. People are so.
That's very good. Where is it? Which temple? Uttama.
You remember Gautama Vihara once we donated some money?
The Taiping there one, is it? Not
No,
Taiping, further up, I think.
Puchong. Gautama Vihara is
Puchong, what you're talking about? Puchong.
They are supporting the nun, those lady travelers.
I haven't been. I don't know.
Yeah. But once we our Kalamita fund, we make some contribution to them.
No problem.
We made before.
We make the contribution.
I think last year.
Yeah, I don't remember.
It's headed by this Reverend Mahinda's one of the disciples.
Okay.
Reverend what's her name? Sumangala.
Okay. Yeah. The lady Nana, is it?
The lady Nana.
Yeah.
She's not nun anymore. I think she took what they call. She wear a robe, not the Mechi anymore.
That's why I say it's a nun. It's not a Mechi anymore.
Under the Theravada.
Tradition. She ordained. I remember she ordained. Yeah.
You met her, brother?
During the break few days, I seen her before. Anything else?
Nothing much.
It's okay. If not, then we can end. It's almost 10:30 already.
Okay.
So let us rejoice with the good sharing from Sister PJ and Stephanie. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Okay, you all can now pay respect mindfully to Lord Buddha, Kuan Yin Bodhisattva, and all the worthy ones. Then we will end the whole session. Thank you for your participation and sharing. Sadhu.